Hello teacups, what's brewing? We are back. It's been a little bit, as I said, likely that these reacts are going to be a little less regular from me for a little bit. The last 2 weeks, you guys have been absolutely kicking my ass at work. And I worked last weekend, so today is the end of my work week. I am going to do absolutely nothing this weekend related to school, and hopefully I'll just feel less exhausted. So with that in mind, we finally got a pre-recorded video from Miss Foodie Beauty, the long-awaited time warp. I will admit, you guys, I was a little less excited about this time warp, especially given that it got put off. I just didn't care anymore. I haven't seen Twin Peaks. I did a quick search for a recap of the plot, just so I'd be basically familiar. But the plot sounds like a bit of a trip, I gotta say. I'm not gonna watch the series, it's not really my kind of TV. But I understand it does have a cult following, it is very popular. It does seem right up Chantal's alley, so I understand why she likes it. I just, personal preference, don't like her movie-themed mukbangs as much as I do her actual time warps, even though she's put this under the time warp umbrella. So if I don't have a huge amount to say on certain aspects, it's because I'm simply unfamiliar. I would say hopefully she explains it, but we know a little better generally, but maybe she'll surprise me. Okay, so let's get into it. I do like the intro she has for this, the TV thing. This might be a bit loud, sorry.
Hi, I'm Laura Palmer's doppelganger. I'm so glad you came to visit. I'm so hungry.
So with all the cuts.
I'm so tired of eating nothing but garmonbosia. Say, you know what? Oh, I would give anything for some fine black...
I'm going to pause it there because we're currently at 6 cuts in that few seconds of footage. I always find these little intros she does, I get why she does them. She did the same in Pulp Fiction, where she's trying to establish herself as the character. But I always find them incredibly awkward. And like I said, she's had, I think, 6 cuts in the last few seconds. She clearly can't remember what it is she wants to say. So she's a little bit dead in the eye because you can tell she's just trying to remember the words. And I don't think it's necessary. She could have just described what she was wearing. I mean, kudos to her for trying, I suppose, for trying to kind of set the scene. Because that is one thing about her time warps or movie themes or whatever that she does work on. She does really try to establish the look. And she's tried hard here. She's got a wig on, she's got an outfit. I don't think she looks like the character, but I can see what she's doing to try. So, you know, more effort than usual. But I always do find these beginning bits a little bit cringe.
Collage dining. And for dessert, oh, sure could go for some.
Did you forget what a cherry pie was?
Cherry pie.
It's famous.
From the RR Diner. Agent Cooper's always raving about that cherry pie. Well, why don't you go do a girl a favor?
We're about 8 cuts now.
And cook me something up, something nice, something elegant, something rich, something
creamy.
Yummy.
I was waiting for creamy.
All right, we are going to make a blue cheese.
And then the cut to the hunk of raw meat. No, it's sexy. Okay, let's say she tried and leave it at that.
Stuffed beef. Tenderloin works best for this recipe, but I could not find any filet mignon, so I'm using an inside round cut of meat, and I cut it into 3 thick steaks.
I don't know shit about meat cuts.
Now you want to make a slit in the meat
what an unfortunate
and stuff
word.
it with blue cheese.
Blue cheese. I mean, steak and blue cheese is a kind of classic pairing, but that was a lot of cheese in that. All the words you used to describe this are so unfortunate. She said slit. I was about to say cavity. I'm like, lovely.
And then close the slit again.
I mean, I'm
So
sure
now
it
we're
tastes
going to
good.
marinate the steaks to make them more tender and flavorful for at least 2 hours in the fridge.
With
the
the cheese in
marinade
it.
consists of the leaves of 4 fresh thyme sprigs, 2 minced garlic cloves, 6 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, I'm trying to remember everything, 4 tablespoons of olive oil, and 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard.
Okay. I mean, I really wish she'd stop.
While those are marinating, we're going to mix our dry ingredients for a pie crust. So 3/4 cup of icing sugar, 3 cups of white flour, half a cup of crushed almond, and just a pinch of salt. Now you're going to want to work in a...
Her instructions don't seem to match up with the pictures here. I think maybe she's just taking a little too long on the voiceover, but she controls that voiceover. She could have done something about it. She's editing.
stick and a quarter of unsalted butter, and you're going to work it with your fingertips until it resembles fine breadcrumbs.
I mean, she's doing the thing.
Then you're going to whisk 1 large egg, 3 tablespoons of water.
It's so hard to whisk eggs when you're filming.
Of vanilla extract. Add the wet to the dry, and then mix with a fork and then with your hands to form dough balls. You want to form 2 same-size balls of dough, and they're going to look like this. They're going to be pretty...
So she promised us a pie, ages ago, she promised us a pie she didn't deliver on, and I ended up cooking my own. So I've got a chicken pot pie recipe in my archive somewhere. It's linked, look at the playlist. But it always said the top should be slightly smaller because you haven't got the depth on the top. So why they're the same size, I think the top's going to be too heavy then, especially as this cherry pie doesn't seem to have a solid one. So that seems a bit odd to me, but maybe I'm wrong.
Pretty firm. Roll out 2 discs of the dough and place it in cling wrap and place in the fridge for 1 hour. Add 3/4 cup of white sugar and half a cup of cherry jam until the sugar is melted, and then bring to a boil for just a minute. You want to add a cornstarch slurry of 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch to 3 tablespoons of water, and then cook that, bring that to a boil,
does look
and then
like
add
jam
the cherries.
rather than filling.
So in the oven on 400 degrees, I cooked 10 strips of bacon for the bacon mashed potatoes we're going to be making, as well as cut up 6 spring onions or green onions to go in the mashed potatoes as well.
That sounds like it's going to be delicious. I'm sorry, bacon and spring onion and mashed potato is going to be gorgeous, but how much mash is she making? 10 strips of bacon and 6 spring onions. Are you kidding? On top of the beef and blue cheese.
You want to chop the bacon with the green onions. Now this asparagus recipe sounded interesting to me. It's asparagus cooked in butter, salt, and pepper, and we're toasting some crushed pecans, and some panko breadcrumbs, about half a cup each. And I'm just going to let that toast and spread it over the asparagus. And then we're going to add some lemon zest when it's cooked. So for the mashed potatoes, we're going to melt down 3 tablespoons of butter and the spring onions. And then we're going to add half a cup of milk and some salt and pepper and let that cook for just a minute or 2.
How much is half a cup? 125 milliliters, right? That seems like a lot of liquid for potatoes.
Oh,
but again, if they're making
so
a
yummy.
lot.
So I've added the bacon after I've mashed the potatoes in the onions, butter, and milk. And
can I say, I suppose needless to say, but we'll say it anyway. Her heart, liver, and other bodily ailments are gonna love her for this. This is a lot of butter, a lot of cream, a lot of meat, a lot of cheese. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's gonna be delicious, because how could it not be? But man, this is a heavy meal.
Added a bit more salt and a little bit more pepper, and these look delicious.
They do look delicious.
Alright, so the dough is out of the fridge, and I've worked it into my pie plate. I think my plate is just a little bit too big.
It does look, yeah, she worked it in, she didn't roll it, because you can see at the corner there, she's been pressing it down. I don't know if maybe that bit cracked.
For the measurements that are suggested in the recipe.
Just press it down with the fingers.
But I'm just pressing it down and working with what I got. So I made strips with the other pastry disc that was in the fridge. Added some egg wash and sprinkled a little bit of white sugar on it. And it's ready to go in a 375-degree oven for close to an hour.
Do it.
And the pie is browned and bubbly and out of the oven.
It looks like she has very much overcooked that crust. Could just be the edges because they're all exposed. Maybe she should have just put like tinfoil around the edge, because I do that when it starts to brown off a little bit, but that looks like it's been over baked. Hopefully I'm wrong. I don't think I am.
Oven, and it looks delicious and smells even more amazing than it looks.
Okay, well I'm glad it smells lovely.
So this is supposed to be the Twin Peaks iconic very fine cherry pie. So I let the meat out of the fridge for a little while to get it down in temperature.
Why is she
so that way
boiling
it's more tender, and I seared both sides. I put it in the oven, and now I'm adding the reserved marinating liquid to it and just letting it simmer in that for a bit. And it's going to be ready to plate up soon.
I mean, again, I'm sure it's going to taste lovely. I'm not sure why she's boiling it right now. Is it to make a kind of jus or gravy or something? I think she's going to overcook the meat, but it looks like it's going to have a lot of flavour and be quite delicious.
And there we have it, the finished product. I tried to look all fancy.
I would say tried is the operative word. But fair play to her. Can I just give her some credit for a second? She worked hard making this meal. She bought all the ingredients, she bought the beef, she's followed, it looks like 3 different recipes for all the different components, plus the cherry pie which she made from try that again. Plus the cherry pie that she made from scratch. I'm not sure if I'm going to cut the mess I just made of that sentence, but if I'm saying it weird, it's because I made a mess of the sentence first. But she put some serious work into making this meal. Making the chicken pot pie that I did took a long time. Pastry takes time. And she doesn't tend to move around a lot. She doesn't even really stand in her kitchen to prepare things. So making a meal of this size and this complexity, I suppose I'd say this is complex for her, it would have been a lot of effort in terms of time investment and in terms of physical effort of doing the thing. So credit to her, she did a lot of work for this.
And plate my meal like this with asparagus on top and some of the juice. So, bon appetit, let's go
I think
eat.
all those components are going to be delicious.
Hey guys, hey, how are you? Welcome back to another themed video, I guess.
Her food
You could call this a time warp.
Sorry. Her food is so high up, it's here. Like, it's going to be really difficult for her to see over, I guess just because she wants the cherry pie presented, but maybe set it up, do a shot, and then eat comfortably. She doesn't look comfortable here.
Because the show we're going to be talking about is from 1990, so I guess it would be the early 90s, so, but it is more of a themed type of video like I did with Pulp Fiction. And I'm so excited. It is my birthday week, and to celebrate, in part celebration, I wanted to do, even though it was a lot of...
Spoiler alert, the other parts of the celebration are eating out everywhere she can on live stream.
Work making this pie from scratch, making everything from
scratch. You put a lot of work in.
Everything, just setting up, whatever. It was still fun regardless because I just love Twin Peaks so much. I just want to eat, live, breathe Twin Peaks. So if you haven't watched Twin Peaks...
I do agree that Twin Peaks is the kind of show that she tends to love. Has she waxed on about Twin Peaks before? Has she mentioned it a lot? Because if she wants to breathe, live, eat it, literally eat it in this case, I think she would have mentioned it before. When people ask her, what's your favourite movie, what's your favourite TV series, I don't feel like she's ever mentioned this one. Maybe I'm wrong. There's been a lot of footage that maybe I've missed the last couple of weeks. So I have not been watching all the live streams. I've occasionally caught up with like Pulpy Syntax or just some other little reacts, but I haven't been wading through. So has she discussed this in a live recently? I don't know.
Peaks is a series that aired in 1990 by David Lynch, famous director, and he's known for being eccentric and strange and weird, as normal people call it. But
normal.
And also
normal
Mark
shaming.
Frost. Can't forget Mark Frost. Had a lot to do in that as well. But it is very weird, sometimes disturbing, sometimes campy, sometimes funny. It's more of a psychological kind of drama series and it's like a psychological horror drama series is all I can say, and it's got a bit of campiness in there. So yeah, and I decided I did actually find this wonderful book, which my recipes came from today. This is a damn fine cherry pie, which is what Agent Cooper says when he tries the RR Diner's cherry pie for the first time.
Can I get you anything to go with this, Sheriff?
Agent Cooper here might want to try a slice of that pie. Cherry pie?
Best in the Tri-Counties.
Shelly Johnson makes one heck of...
Can I ask what's going on with it being a blank screen when it cuts back to her? Because, I mean, I guess she must be putting the green screen in after, so could she not cut straight to her? What's going on there?
Mean cherry pie, and so does Norma. So I want to go through a bit of this book with you guys just to talk a bit about the series. If you are not familiar with Twin Peaks, you may find a lot of the intro very strange, and you may not know what I'm talking about. So the character I'm dressed up as right now is Laura Palmer. More specifically, her doppelganger who resides in the Black Lodge. I'll get into what the Black Lodge symbolizes in just a moment.
I read a little bit about that,
but
so I got the basic
I took some recipes from there. She has different. The author has different themes in here to go.
Can I say the book looks pretty cool? I had a quick look around for it, and seems pretty well done. Obviously, I mean the recipe she's got for all the presentation is looking pretty good there. So
with the characters, the places where Twin Peaks was set, there's some of it set right in the border of Canada, Washington. Washington State is where it's a fictional town of Twin Peaks is where it's set. So yes, all right. So this is the cherry pie. Turned out I showed
made from
you that.
scratch.
We'll get to eat that in a bit. It's still warm but not too hot. I didn't exactly nail it. I tried. And this dinner, I was disappointed when I couldn't.
Sorry. Be fair to yourself. I think she's done a really good job with that. I know that the cutting of the shape was a little bit challenging for her. But I would say, like, if you look at the front picture of that pie and then you look at hers, you get it. You connect them. I think she did a good job.
I didn't get any tenderloin or filet mignon. I had my groceries delivered, and they were out of tenderloin.
So when she said she looked everywhere.
So I had to go with a roast. I cut up the roast you saw. I think it was inside round. So the mashed potatoes, this is the juice, the glazing juice, the marinating juice on top of the beef. I'm really anxious to see
the struggle is real, my dear. I get
it. Inside, I could smell it when it was cooking. So yeah, let's try.
I'm kind of impressed that cheese has stayed inside. When we saw it cooking, we didn't see it exploding anywhere. Considering how much she put in, she did a good job with that.
Try this here. Laura's very hungry, and basically, I'm just gonna dig in. I really wish it was filet mignon, but yeah. So this meal is in the Black Lodge section. In Twin Peaks, there's the White Lodge, the Black Lodge, and of course just normal life, like the present apparent, I guess. So look at these mashed potatoes here. The bacon, the spring onion. I'm gonna see how they taste. Everything smelled so good when I was cooking it. You know, you go through all that hard work and it's gonna be a treat to eat. Beauty bite. You have got to try your mashed potatoes this way. Oh, you have to. So good. I like eating asparagus with my fingers.
What don't you like
eating with your
fingers? Asparagus is an appropriate finger food.
Oh, wow. The nice crunch from the toasted pecans and breadcrumbs. Do you say pecan or pecan?
I never know which is correct. As much as regional language is regional language, and there's no real correct.
Lemon zest too.
I know people have strong feelings about it.
A little bit of zest goes a long way. Let's try this. Now that it's all fancy, we can make a mess out of it. Now that you've seen it fancy, I should say. So, Black Lodge is... David Lynch apparently believed in... saw an explanation. And there are so many explanations to interpretation of his work. And there's so much symbolism layered upon symbolism. And it's just, you'll know what I'm talking about if you know David Lynch. And he also directed Mulholland Drive, Lost Highway, Blue Velvet, Fire Walk with Me, which is a Twin Peaks prequel and sequel. Now, he there's a lot of motifs of an alternate plane of existence. And, you know, there's our present, past, present, future, and different dimensions and different states of consciousness therein. So the Black Lodge, I guess, is meant to represent, this is an explanation, I've heard of it, the first layer of
She is desperately trying to recall this from wherever she's read it. Like, just make notes, love, at this point. I mean, appreciate the fact that you tried to research it, full credit where it's due, but clearly she doesn't know really, she's not engaging. I don't want to say she doesn't know what it means. She's able of understanding that. But she clearly did not think these things for herself. She's struggling a lot to recall it. So either say, okay, no, I got this from here, and make notes, and that's fine. The same way she did when she was billing her car drives as reviews, and she went and got that Dick Ann's thing, and she just went and read off some of the information. If that's what you're going to do it. It's fine, but she's struggling a lot here.
Intellect, basically, which has many layers. And the
Would
White
you like
Lodge
to explain some
further up would
that are
be
not in the
kind of
article?
like, think of it as kind of reaching some kind of nirvana, I guess, is what I can explain it as. But the first level...
What you can explain it as, or what it was explained as to you? I think those two are different.
Is very susceptible to darkness. So you have the waiting room, the iconic waiting room in the Black Lodge, and let's cut into this here. Now this is not going to be as tender. I want to get some of the blue cheese.
Yeah, it looks overcooked.
As, of course, tenderloin, but...
I mean, let's see. I might be wrong. That was the edge
Still
piece.
not bad.
That was
the
great.
blue cheese just kind of all melted in it. Let's try it.
Oh, her jaw's coming.
Wow.
I mean, it's beef and blue cheese. I'm not a huge fan of blue cheese in general, but like they go together.
Should have made some kind of cocktail. I do have a lot of cocktail recipes in there.
Oh, that would have been nice.
I did overcook it somewhat, but
yeah, it looks a little bit
the blue
like
cheese
it
is
might
so
be
good
dry,
with the
but
beef,
with the amount of cheese
it
on
kind
it,
of melts
should be
into the
fine.
meat and kind of just gives it a tangy, like sharp, tangy flavor. So the waiting room in the Black Lodge is very symbolic. You have the chevron floor, which is meant to symbolize duality. You know, you have the Black Lodge is where...
Chevron floor, is that what's behind it? I thought it was a check floor, or did I just think that and not see it? I'm sure she'll show us in a second.
The characters' doppelgangers in the show reside, and it's got the chevron floor, black and white, again symbolizing duality. It's very a darker place, meant to represent the darker side of us. And actually the book really does say it well.
Oh, okay, so
yeah,
she's got this from the book.
Symbolizes a sense of safety, purity, and family life. So that's the White Lodge. And then the Black Lodge dinner chapter here in the book is full of richer, darker, moodier recipes to set the scene. And since I'm dressed up as Laura Palmer, she's normally dressed up as, when she was alive, she was dressed up as a schoolgirl, you know, the plaid skirt and sweaters and things like that. And now this is her, how she looks in the Dark Lodge. So that was my...
Hold on, I missed that where there was a little gap. I'm gonna just move forward.
So that...
Oh, it is chevrons. I do apologise. Okay, I checked the little picture and it was chevrons, not checks. I'd misremembered. I guess maybe that's why it's reflected on the top of the pie.
That was my...
It's a little connection between the realms.
My choice. This book does have a lot of different themes. They have a White Lodge dining section, Black Lodge. They have a jukebox list. They have a diner section for food.
She's literally just reading us the contents page now. Although I wasn't mad when she was like, okay, let me go get the book and look. Fair enough. Just show it. I mean, It would be nice if she remembered, but if she's going to struggle as much as she did, I'm glad she checked it.
Which I was eyeing. It's a really good book. It has a lot of facts about Twin Peaks. The chevron floor of the Black Lodge in Twin Peaks also appears in Eraserhead. I didn't know that. Eraserhead is...
I don't know that either. Is it a horror
I think
movie?
it was his first movie. I could be wrong, but it's one of his earlier ones.
The name sounds familiar, and I don't know why.
It was his first feature film. So the show Twin Peaks ran for 2 seasons, and then it was canceled, and then a third season, 25 years later, came out in 2017, which a lot of people say they didn't like as much. It was still odd enough for me to love. Still had that David Lynch flair. To synopsize, I don't want to give any spoilers.
Is synopsize a verb? I mean, to be fair, I use a lot of things for verbs that aren't, so if she used it and I understand it, I suppose.
Body of Laura Palmer washes up on shore one day.
So wait, if anyone has watched Twin Peaks, knows of Twin Peaks, if it's saying the body of Laura Palmer washes up in season 3, I thought the whole point of the original series was that they found her body. So how could her body then wash up? If this is going to be a majorly involved plot point as to the whole thing, don't worry about it, but that confuses me.
And Agent Cooper works for the FBI. He's sent
season 3 isn't a remake, right?
There's also the murder of, for a possible serial killing, because there's also some other girls that were murdered. Another girl that was murdered, at least. And they find a letter under each of the victims' fingernails, so there seems to be a pattern.
It'd be a hell of a coincidence. See that? Why hasn't she just cut this out?
By the way, I apologize for, it might look a little tilted, my camera. I can't seem to get it just right, but, you know...
I attached one of those, you know those rings you put on the back of your cameras so that you don't keep dropping it, because I keep dropping it. Particularly when I'm lying on my bed, the amount of times I've just dropped it straight on my face is ridiculous. But it means it now won't fit into the grip of my tripod properly, and I'm just expecting it to go flying.
What? Pete's pointed out to me when I was having him help me fix the angle. He said, it's David Lynch content you're covering. You know, it doesn't need... Actually, having it sideways would probably work in your favor.
Actual fair point, Pete. Well done. You know, cutting it wouldn't be the end of the world. If you're going to use a fork, which I appreciate, cutting it would not be the end of the world.
So this is Lindsay Bowden of Damn Fine Cherry Pie. Unauthorized cookbook inspired by the TV show Twin Peaks.
Question about this. So I remember this as well. When I was a young teenager, like 12, 13, I was really into Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like, it was my first big proper, I'm a fan of this show moment. And I remember getting like an unofficial guide to whatever. What are the, I mean, if it's not a licensed product in the sense of an official one, what are the rules in terms of copyright with those? Because I know it says inspired by, but it clearly is referencing the show and profiting off referencing the show. So I'm surprised, and I know it's been around for years and years because I remember it from even when I was a kid, but I don't understand quite how that works, and I'm interested. So if anyone knows anything about sort of the legal side of it and how people get away with that, how it's a permissible thing, because you see it in a number of different fandoms, I'd be interested.
She's also just a really huge fan of Twin Peaks and got inspired to come up with some different recipes, and she did a very good job.
Sorry, I'm still thinking about it. I suppose the fact that she said inspired by, is it a bit like, well, is it exactly like YouTube, where we say, well, this is transformative? Because if she's retelling the story of the show within the book, because she was just getting that information, I don't know, that's interesting. Why? Look at how she's holding her fork right now. I know it's a minor thing. I know I probably focus on it a little bit too much. But the way she holds her utensils like a goddamn ham-fisted toddler is just Something about it really bothers me. Like, just, you would find it so much easier to cut if you would hold your utensils correctly. Ooh,
Let me know if you're going to try Twin Peaks or if you've watched Twin Peaks. Who's your favorite character?
And the clips you have shown us have freaked me out. I don't want to. I'm a bit of a wuss when it comes to stuff like that.
It's got some really dark subject matter.
Yeah, all the more reason for me not to watch it. I tend to be...
Sexual abuse.
Oh, no, I don't want to watch that. I tend to be more of the escapism type of viewer where I'm like, I want something light, I want something fun, I want something I don't really have to think about. Because I don't watch that much TV anymore. So occasionally I'll get a show or something that I'll really get into, but mostly I'm just like, I want to not think for half an hour.
That nature of content, so if you're sensitive to that, it'll probably be very disturbing for you.
I'll stick to Great British Bake Off, thank you. And Disney.
Just for anybody, really. It's kind of a disturbing story, but it's very good. I'm never going to eat mashed potatoes any other way now. And that asparagus with the pecans?
Considering, okay, when I first got back, sorry, I've got an itchy nose. When I first got back to the UK, I went hard on the bacon because I'd been without pork for a long time. And I wasn't really paying attention because it was only going to be for 3 weeks. And then after I'd been here a month and it became obvious I was not leaving anytime soon, I started like checking a bit more. And I know bacon is high sodium, like you know that. But how high sodium can be a bit shocking. And when you consider she put 10 strips of bacon in this, 2 strips of bacon is like 1.5, is it milligrams of salt? Grams of salt, whatever it is. Whatever, it's like over half your daily amount. I can't even remember what the measurement is anymore because my brain's fried. But for 2 slices of bacon here, I don't know what bacon is like where you are. I don't know what bacon is like where she is. But she got the streaky bacon. I'm guessing it's very similar. Like, that's a lot of salt. If we're kind and say, okay, she made all that and she ate half, that is 5 strips of bacon. That's too much sodium just in that alone. So if she's only gonna, I know she might just be saying that to just prove how good it is, but if she is legit gonna start adding that much bacon to her diet, like, bye her heart, bye her blood pressure. As much as these systems are already under pressure, my god.
Cons.
This is like 3 days worth of sodium in this meal.
So I've watched the series twice, the first 2 seasons. I love Lucy, the secretary of the sheriff's station.
I don't know the characters well enough to form an opinion. Also, she loves, lives, eats, breathes Twin Peaks, but she's seen it twice. Maybe I just obsess over shows more. I tend to rewatch a lot.
But I think Agent Cooper is my favorite because he's so handsome. Kyle MacLachlan? Oh, absolutely. He's so handsome. You know?
Please use 2 utensils instead of pushing your plate. Please be a lady.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good meal. Bacon and onion just add so much flavor, you know?
It definitely does. I'm sure they are delicious.
I do, however, want to save some room for this intimidating bite. It's very intimidating. It's huge.
I will say it's deeper than I thought. I didn't realize quite how deep the pie went. I think she's going to struggle, given that she really pressed it in. I think she's going to struggle with the crust being too thin in places. And again, looking at it now, that crust is going to be very hard on those edges.
But whenever I always wanted to know, you know, Agent Cooper just really, really rants and raves about this pie, or more raves, I guess. Doesn't really rant about it, but there's 2 versions in here. So as you can see, I didn't really nail the design.
I think she did a pretty good job.
This is the one I followed, which is the Shelly Johnson Sherry Pie. Shelly Johnson is a character in the show, and she works at our diner. And Norma Jennings owns the diner, and there's a vegan cherry pie version as well.
Life's too short for vegan pies.
Alright.
Ooh, that's alarming.
Let's dig in.
That freeze frame of her smiling and looking at that knife, you guys.
Pie.
Stand up.
Oh,
No, stand up.
I'm
Ah.
pie crust? I don't know.
Okay. She's gone all ham-fisted on the handle again. You wouldn't have to make this much effort and cut it so weirdly if you would just stand up, because the pressure of you pressing down would help you immensely here. Stand up, cut it properly, you can angle the knife better, it will be easier overall. And I was right, that crust is solid. She's overbaked it massively.
I'm not good with pie crust.
The top isn't as bad, but the actual base, look at her trying to get through that edge there.
I've never actually, I don't know if I've ever made a pie from scratch with like traditional crust. This is gonna fall apart.
I think it was just a short crust pastry, so.
Oh. And the cherry bubbling, it kind of looks like blood, honestly. So it's like cherry pie, very fitting.
I imagine it was on purpose. I imagine the red viscous nature of it was not lost on the person choosing it.
For like a darker themed kind of video, you know? So
also the use of cherries.
Dole out this piece.
This is just gonna be a mess.
Twin Peaks is.
You can do it. Come on.
Shelly Johnson's cherry. Ooh.
Come on.
Cherry pie.
Oh, that was actually a little bit impressive that she got on there. I thought she was going to destroy it.
Ooh. Oh wow.
You guys, I'm genuinely impressed.
Yeah.
I am genuinely impressed. She got a piece out of that fairly neatly. Good job. Maybe the base wasn't as thin as I thought. Oh, it's definitely cooked.
As you can see there, looks pretty good, huh?
Did a good job of it.
Looks good to me. I'm gonna try a piece without whipped cream, and then I was gonna put some whipped cream on it, but the crust is kind of thick here.
It won't be thick everywhere. We saw you press it in.
Let's try.
That's why you should probably just roll it and keep it even.
Mmm. That is a good crust. Mmm.
Possibly before you cremated
Buttery.
the edge. I bet the underside of it is delicious.
One fine cherry pie. Mmm. So cherry-y. You know what I mean?
And that's her review. I know we joke about her vocabulary a lot, man. That is one fine pie, so cherry-y. Never change. I love you, never change.
Doesn't need whipped cream.
She did the
Anytime
thing.
I've had cherry pie,
Why are
it's
you...
been a can.
Why, if you've got half a pie next to you, half a piece of pie next to you, are you digging into the serving dish? You don't need to. Finish the pie you have. There are whole cherries in the pie in front of you that you've cut. Don't contaminate the serving dish. I realise she's probably going to eat the whole pie herself, but theoretically, Pete might want some. And I know they're very, very close, and they don't have particularly strong boundaries between the two of them, but maybe just don't dig into the serving tray as a general life rule. That's polite, I think.
So delicious. Wow. The crunchy crust.
I'm guessing, sorry, just to check. She didn't make this from fresh cherries, right? Did we see fresh cherries at the beginning? I'm assuming it was some kind of filling because those cherries are still whole and she would have cut them to destone them. I know you can with like a hair grip or a straw or something, but the chances of her actually doing it, it's entirely different. But, like, is it a canned filling that she's just put in with the jam slurry thing she did? I'm not sure.
Well, Shelly, no wonder Norma keeps you around.
I mean, she made a pie. I'm proud of it.
The crushed almond adds like an extra.
Oh, did she put almond in the crust?
Flavor factor too.
That explains a lot. Okay, fair enough. I didn't realise she had almond in the crust. That's going to change the texture.
Those are some good cherries. It was funny too because apparently they were out of frozen cherries at the grocery store.
Oh, there you go.
And I just so happened to have a bag in my freezer.
Oh, again,
Wasting
frozen.
away.
That makes sense. Yeah, because they'd still be whole, but they'd
Which
hold
are
up to the
rather
pie.
great, I would
So,
say.
well, that's good. She buys them for
Oh
her
man,
her
that was
oatmeal
filling
when she's feeling healthy, doesn't she?
meal though. Whew.
Just thought of this question. If she had a bag in her freezer, why did she order it from the grocery store to begin with? Why not just use that to begin with? I mean, I'm guessing she just didn't check the freezer. You know, we talk about her being wasteful sometimes.
Check,
Maybe an
please.
example.
Yeah, if you're a Twin Peaks fan, I would suggest getting this book as a breakfast. You know,
I'm not, but the book
whole
looks good.
diner motif. It's, you know, ingrained in American culture. Nothing like a old-fashioned diner. Puts in with red-eye gravy.
Oh, no wonder.
Homemade lemonade.
She's in love.
Homemade cherry cola. Bobby burgers. Different donuts, because there's a lot of donuts in the Twin Peaks series. There's a lot of cops, so there's a lot of donuts. The recipe I was trying to follow was the filet mignon stuffed with blue cheese. The Giant's Special Goose. There's a giant in the show. Bloody Mary talking.
When I say reading up on the show but not watching it is a bit of a mind trip, that sentence, oh, it's the Giants, whatever, that's a good example.
So there's just different, you know, different recipes here that are themed with the Twin Peaks, various Twin Peaks characters, places, motifs, things like that. So very delicious. Oh yeah, the cherry pie is very good.
So now she's got a whole pie in the house.
I was afraid it would be undercooked, not at all.
I would have thought the other way, but if you're happy with it.
So I ran
then
out of white
good.
flour. I had to sub about half a cup of whole wheat flour.
The texture issue is becoming more
Which
and
isn't too
more
much.
explained.
Sorry. How rude of me.
Anybody who's ever seen her in live stream, how rude of me. Really? But then that's the thing. This is Chantal on. This is her doing the YouTube thing, but properly doing it where if you were to just take out her time warps, if you were to just take out these things where she's flipped the influencer switch and gone, bing, this is a YouTube thing that I'm doing in my YouTube personality. You would just think, oh, that was polite of her. And, you know, you would just think she is this kind of nice, slightly quirky girl. And then you see her in the live streams and you're just like, really? You're apologizing for being rude for that? Really?
I've done worse on my channel.
Yeah.
All right.
But influencer Chantal hasn't.
That's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this time warp video.
This is not a time
you should
warp.
definitely check out David Lynch if you're not familiar. Thank me later. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.
See ya. Alright guys, that was a fairly non-offensive video. I enjoyed watching her go through the different recipes. Like, she got the book, she looked it up, she followed the recipe nicely, she made an actual effort to get ready, to present it, to really, as much as she didn't seem comfortable explaining things, she did try to explain them with the help of aids. And, you know, I think, considering, and it might just be the harsh relief of her current content elsewhere on her channel, I appreciate the effort we see in this video. I really do. She's been relying a lot on live streams recently because they're easier for her, and I don't think I'm the only one in the community that's a little fatigued by them. So it was good to see her actually produce content instead of just incidentally create it. And we'll see what her next one is. That wasn't a time warp. I would like to see an actual time warp where she does a historical period again. Just in terms of the food, I don't need her to be a history channel, but I'd love to see her take on some kind of food. She was saying Depression era, but then she was saying, oh, hot dogs. And I was like, that seems a bit of a cop-out to make a hot dog, unless you're literally making everything from scratch. So maybe this was for the best because she did make a lot of effort with the food portion of this. She had 3 separate recipes and the dessert, and they were all made from scratch. So, you know, kudos there. All right, guys. This was a nice little diversion from what's becoming her regular, irregular content. And I look forward to the next one. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.